For the true flourishing of the society, you need to understand by what I am made up of. Evolve the self, better the world, love all. Let's join to uplift the human consciousness. When we see the dynamics of society functioning, the people who make the rules, regulations, principle under which the society functions, basically they will not have any idea how to create a society where it flourishes. And also, till now, even in the name of democracy, the decision made by only few people where the whole society has to follow that decision. Even though it appears we elect them and they represent us, but yet democracy also has its own limitations. The voters can be influenced. And in this present day, even with having so much technology and everything also, even who are representing a particular political party or an ideology, who are seeking your votes, can very easily influence you through the strategies what they make in their marketing, promotion, or social media presence. Through such things, they can easily influence your mind, and the most like a danger thing is, if you look at the whole strata or the people who are representing the society, the generation which is living in that society is conditioned in a totally different way, where the flourishing is given in the hands of internet. The flourishing is given in the hands of conditioned parents. The flourishing is given in the hands of education, which is one of the main key role players which influences the flourishing of the society or the direction of the society. So in that education, where is the place for human evolution? Here, only market-based education system is there. They may create people in the name of education like a finished products who fit to function in some factories or a system already which is established, or in the name of education they are all taught to follow some ideology or to believe in something what is good. Even we can take a very good example of the let's say psychology. And presently in this planet, as a product of the education, there are thousands of psychologists, and how they are treating the people having the mental issues or psychological issues is very insane in a way. They try to help, but they don't know how to help who are having the psychological issues, or they guide them in a very foolish way that they end up creating some other belief systems in them, and they make them to believe, oh, you carry this negative thoughts in you, or like that. Only by looking at the mind, they treat the persons. That is the main limitation. To build a society which is flourishing, it's very important to build individuals who will be flourishing. Society is like an ocean, individuals are like rivers. They all flow to the ocean. How they are flowing towards the ocean and what sort of ocean is created, what sort of society is created, that is the deciding factor. When it comes to the individual flourishing, what is that individual flourishing? It is so insane to understand. If you ask human beings on this planet, 99% of the humans, they can't ask by what they are made up of. If you ask them existentially by what you are made up of, oh, they tell, I have a body. Then they may tell, oh yes, I have a mind. That's why the whole society program is built on body-mind basis. And when only body and mind exists, that is in fact a negative growth happens in the society. Because the combination of mind living for body and body living for mind is one of the worst combination. Why? Because it becomes a loop or a vicious circle. Mind begins to orient the execution of life only aligning to body experiences. If you see how you spend your life is mainly on body satisfaction. I want to eat this, I have to see this, I have to hear this, I have to meet such and such a person. Like this, only body experiences, meaning the sense perception based, what happens through body. See, sense perception happens at many levels, because sense perception in the end, it indicates the ability to perceive. Ability to perceive is the basic of living, because without perception you can't feel you live. No, in the end, we are all living. We should feel we are living. That's life, in fact. That's the living, in fact. That's the ability to perceive the self. Actually, the whole manifestation of the nature from the consciousness is to feel itself. The feeling of the presence is life, in a way. When we understand this dynamics of expression of life, is very clear that perception is very important, and it should not be fixed to only sense perception based. Only 5 senses. If you limit your whole life towards this 5 sense, It's like a frog living in a well. How many oceans are there? How many seas are there? How many rivers are there? How many wells are there? If the frog ends up living in a small well, what a big miss. The majesty of the ocean is missed. The elegancy of river is missed. It's a big shift in life. But as human beings, most of the human beings, they end up living in a small well of sense perception. It's a very big loss in the journey. When the life itself is getting limited to such a purview of limited sense-oriented body experience perception, and you go to job, you have relationships, you construct house, you do everything based on this restriction. Of course, a frog which is living in a well, it does everything based on living in the well. Then how a flourishing is possible? To flourish, the first and foremost thing what you need to understand is who you are and by what you are made up of. That's what I meant if we ask the question of by what you made up of. 99% of the population, they can't answer this question. They tell only body and mind. How many people know they are made up of 5 sheets? We call it as Panchakosha. The body sheath, the energy, the mind, the wisdom and soul. Now, the whole society is established based on body orientation. Or some things people do with the mind orientation. How many restaurants are there on this planet to feed the food for the body? I don't want to call it as nourishing the body. Nourishment is different, feeding is different. Feeding satisfies the hunger, nourishment satisfies the flowering or facilitates the flowering. No nourishing restaurants. Nourishing restaurants are rarest of the rare on this planet. That is another issue. Feeding restaurants are there to satisfy your hunger. That itself indicates only a society is functioning which represents the body and mind. Even there is no study, practice, availability, expressions, organized methodology or anything based on energy, based on wisdom, based on soul. Until the awareness about the Panchakosha, meaning 5 sheets of human being happens, any flourishment is difficult. Because flourishing means a comprehensive, a totality of functional expression. Flourishing is the awareness of who you are. Let's take an example of the state of flourishment. Suppose you are just sitting on a chair in your room. Now it appears, oh, I am sitting on a chair in my room. I am doing nothing, life is waste. See, one of those concept what society has. If you are simply sitting, you are wasting life. Many times in Canada, I faced some questions when I used to visit Canada. There is such a ignorance about meditation. People will ask as a common question, oh, if you meditate, you are wasting time. You are doing nothing. Then why you are closing your eyes and sitting still? Life means you have to do something. See the entirely different way how a society is programmed to look at a situation. For example, you are sitting in home, as I indicated before, on the chair. Now, you feel you want to see Paris. From wherever you are, you want to travel to Paris and you want to see that Eiffel Tower. I don't know what is the fantastic thing about the tower. I was looking from any angle, what is speciality in it? Just some iron structure, like a tall, why they made it such a big thing? Actually nothing is there. And they call it as one of the wonders or something very big, attractive. And really it was an astonishment for me in a way, like, oh, why they call it like that? Suppose you want to see the Eiffel Tower, let's say you want to go to Paris. Now, you are sitting in the chair. Why that idea flashes in your mind that by going to Paris, by seeing the Eiffel Tower or being in Paris, the traveling, that exposure to that, I will get something which I can see, which I can perceive or which I can experience. Oh, through that I can express my life. Something like that, a program happens based on your experience. But at the same time, another vision comes. You are sitting on the chair, just little wider, beyond the well of your experience-based life. If you begin to see the life, oh, I am going to Paris by catching a flight. This planet Earth is moving in the space so fast. It travels in many thousands of kilometers speed in just an hour. It travels. That is not the one movement. You are not only moving like this, you are moving like this also. And you are not moving like this, you are not moving like this, the whole solar system is also moving. And you are not moving like this, you are not moving like this, you are not moving only with the solar system, whole galaxy is moving. That too in hundreds and thousands of kilometers speed. In the end, if you see for 1 second, in 1 second like this, till now, even if you consider the scientifically understood facts, each and every person moves to thousands of kilometers speed in 1 second. In 1 second. So that amazing thing is happening around me in the same nature where I am living. And from where all this is created, that source is within me. The causal part of my self-expression, which is the reason, the consciousness, which is manifesting the whole nature. So then a shift will happen in your expression. Oh, why just to travel to Paris? I travel to myself. By traveling to Paris, what experience gives? millions times rich experience will happen in terms of wisdom. You can't call it as a experience in relationship to what you experience based on sense perception. Is a kind of knowingness at the level of wisdom, being that itself. That's what Patanjali explains in his third chapter, the special powers or whatever you call. It's not an illusion or imagination. So it's a different way of living life where instead of perceiving, you can live by being that itself because you are aligning to the consciousness. So like this, many possibilities are there for which you can utilize your time called life to explore. Then that is a true flourishing of the society. For the true flourishing of the society, you need to understand by what I am made up of, what is Panchakosha, meaning 5 sheets or 5 layers, what creates me and this creation. So then when you know yourself, then a clarity will come about how to express life. So if you are blind, whatever the way you walk, it will be a problem. Because you are blind, you have all the chance to bump. In the same way, you are blind about your own self, about your own who you are. For establishing a flourishing society, the first and foremost basic thing needed is to know who you are. By knowing who you are, you can be a good parent. By knowing who you are, you can be a good teacher. By knowing who you are, you can be a good doctor, engineer, scientist, whatever. Because that basic understanding changes the way you act. Now, in this modern society, so-called modern society, flourishing is happening in a way, if you consider the technological developments, what's happening. Some innovations are happening. These innovations are really flourishing? See, flourishing has some positivity in it. Innovations has a probability in it. See, innovation, is it aligning to flourishing or what? Then why they are bombing each other, why they are killing each other, how many machine guns are there? If you count the machine guns, there are millions of machine guns are there on this planet. Thousands of atomic bombs are there. How much violence they express, and even through social media, how much privacy of yours is stolen, and how the mind is influenced to think what is good, what require for what your time and energy is spent, that is decided by a mass technology. That is very danger. If you see the generations nowadays, kids are so addicted to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, for all kinds of online presence. They are so addicted. That will be a very big challenge in future. Why? Because your mind can be influenced. Such a technology is there, and what we call as algorithms of how Facebook is made, how YouTube is made. Have you ever in your experience, until unless you have a control, suppose you are searching to watch a video on meditation, for example, you are searching in YouTube, ask yourself consciously, have you ended up only watching meditation, or you ended up watching other videos also? Just the algorithms of the YouTube is so built using the artificial intelligence that you are made to engage. Being an adult, if you are made to engage by artificial intelligence, how the kids are that terrible video games and all such things. Just it's one of the terrific things what we can imagine what's happening in the society. Like this, even though innovations are there, technically we can't tell it's contributing for the flourishing of the society. Of course, in certain things like in terms of medical science, where operations need to be done, or replacement of the eye, kidney, there innovations are helping us to flourish. That's why innovations nourishes you or perishes you depends on to what extent individual members understand who they are. If you don't know who you are, all the innovations will have a danger edge also to that. It's like a knife which can cut the vegetable, can cut the hand also, can cut the neck also. The first and foremost work what need to happen in the society is to understand the people who they are, to create the space where they can stay with their self, to bring a new way of functioning where it's not a competition to live each other, it's a coexistence under which we all share this presence time on this planet. What a quite opposite thing is happening, and how many centuries, even now also, human beings are aggressively having war. And why we are here on this planet? To live, to celebrate, to be happy, to share. Like, it's a joy of the gift of this creation to live. And where we are, and for centuries after centuries, again and again, what we are doing in the name of life, it's very insane. Why? Because actually there is no flourishment happening in a right way. Only innovations and progress in trying to get the comfort, the concept, what they have, that will give comfort to me. For that, people are living, and now the artificial intelligence guided mindset. It's not at all easy to even to connect with the children to own parents. They are like artificial robots, humans. So this will be a great challenge in the coming days, what humanity will face, meaning they miss the touch with their own self, they miss the touch by knowing who they are, or else you will have a set of people who have illusions and imaginations of, oh, I belong to that soul, this world, like such a kind of illusionary spiritual dimension people are artificial intelligence based generation. Only 2 people will be surviving. So that we can't call as a flourishment of the society. People has to come forward, they should take the leadership, and they should understand this and reorganize the whole family functioning, society functioning, to create a world in a different way. For this education system, parentage, and how everything is executed as actions in this world, the whole approach need to change. That will start by knowing the self. Key is there. Key is at the knowing the self. The path is Panchakosha, meaning understanding the functionality and the presence of the 5 sheaths and organizing that. So that is the path for flourishment or success.